Welcome back to Bourbon Hunter, the channel where we chase great bottles, break down bourbon myths, and occasionally make some questionable life choices, all in the name of whiskey research. Here, we're diving into the stories behind the bottles, the trends shaking up the bourbon world, and the pours that'll make you say, yep, that's going on the top shelf. So grab a glass, settle in, and let's hunt some flavor, because around here, the bourbon's bold, the jokes are bad, and the hunt is always on. Metallica, the band your parents warned you about, and the band that somehow survived longer than most distilleries. So when Metallica dropped a whiskey called Blackened, bourbon hunters everywhere did what we always do: squinted at the bottle, checked the proof, and said, all right, what's the catch? Today, we're breaking down Metallica's Blackened American Whiskey, when it started, how it's made, what the Soundwave thing actually is, how the playlist and batch numbers work, and whether this bottle is legit or just liquid merch. Welcome back to Bourbon Hunter Anonymous, where we read the fine print so you don't have to. So when did this thing actually start? Blackened American Whiskey officially launched in 2018. That's important because this was before bourbon TikTok, $400 starter bottles, and people fist fighting over Blanton's like it's the last pack of toilet paper. This wasn't Metallica chasing hype. This was Metallica building something before bourbon lost its mind. And yes, Blackened is still in active production today, not discontinued, not seasonal, not quote unquote limited unless it sells well. Still rolling, still batching, still releasing. This wasn't a logo rental either. Here's where Blackened earns real points. Metallica partnered with Dave Pickerel, former master distiller at Maker's Mark, a guy who forgot more about whiskey than most celebrity brands ever learned. Pickerel wasn't there to wave and smile. He built the sourcing philosophy, the blending framework, the long-term vision. And here's the educational part bourbon hunters should appreciate. Pickerel designed Blackened to be repeatable. That means mature bourbon and rye, sourced from multiple states, blended for balance, not proof flexing. No pretending that this was a single distillery Kentucky heritage unicorn. Metallica's role? They weren't calculating mash bills, but they were tasting, approving, and rejecting batches. That's the difference between quote-unquote celebrity whiskey and celebrity-backed whiskey with standards. After Pickerel's passing later in 2018, the team kept his blueprint intact, which is why Blackened hasn't gone off the rails. That consistency, that's Pickerel's fingerprint. So let's talk about the elephant with a guitar, black noise. Let's address it. Yes, they play Metallica at the barrels. And no, the barrels don't headbang. Here's what's actually happening. Black noise uses low-frequency sound waves during the finishing stage, after the whiskey is already mature. So the educational moment, low-frequency waves create vibration. Vibration encourages liquid movement. Movement increases spirit to wood interaction. This idea isn't new. Distillers have experimented with ultrasonic waves, mechanical agitation, and temperature cycling. Blackened just tied it to music, because Metallica. Does it replace time in a rickhouse? Absolutely not. Does it turn bad whiskey into good whiskey? Also no. But here's the bourbon hunter truth. This is a finishing enhancer, not a cheat code. If the base whiskey sucked, you'd still taste it, just louder. Now, you may have noticed that Blackened has batch numbers and playlist. This isn't marketing fluff. Now, this is actually cool. Every bottle of Blackened is released as a batch. On your bottle, you'll find a clearly labeled batch number. That batch number corresponds to a specific Metallica playlist using during the black noise finishing process. And no, this isn't random. Each playlist is curated by Metallica, built with low-frequency, heavy tracks, and it's used intentionally during finishing. Different batches equal different playlists. Some lean more into early thrash, heavy groove, darker, slower era Metallica. You want to find yours? It's easy. Go to blackenedwhiskey.com or search on Spotify or Apple Music. Blackened Whiskey Batch and then your number. Example, Blackened Whiskey Batch 99, Blackened Whiskey Batch 110, or our personal favorite here at Bourbon Hunter Anonymous, Blackened Whiskey Batch 143. You can literally pour a glass, pull up the exact playlist, and drink the whiskey with the soundtrack it was finished to. Most bourbon brands won't even tell you the yeast, the warehouse, or which side of the rickhouse. Blackened hands you the playlist. That's either commitment or the most Metallica thing ever. So how does it drink? Quick reality check. This is 90 proof, blended bourbon and rye, balanced, and it's not aggressive. You're getting vanilla, caramel, light oak, mild spice, clean finish. This is not hazmat. This is not a flex pour. This is a sit down and enjoy it whiskey. Translation: you can drink this without explaining it to your guests. And why this matters to bourbon hunters. Blackened doesn't pretend its heritage. It doesn't hide sourcing. It doesn't fake scarcity. And it doesn't tell you fairy tales. It tells you what it is, how it's made, and why it's different. You don't have to love it. You don't even have to buy it. But you can't say they didn't show their work. So, just to recap, Blackened American Whiskey started in 2018. It's still in production. It uses real finishing processes, ties batches to traceable playlists, and avoids bourbon cosplay. Is it the best bourbon ever? No. Is it a legit whiskey with integrity? Yeah, it actually is. In a world full of mystery mash bills and $200 bottles nobody drinks, that honestly rocks harder than it should. So no, Metallica didn't age this in a tour bus. The barrels didn't headbang, and the playlist won't unlock secret flavor notes if you play it loud enough. But what is real? The whiskey, the process, and the fact that this bottle doesn't lie to you. If you like honest bourbon talk without the fairy tales, hit subscribe. If you hate celebrity whiskey on principle, drop a comment. I'll read it while sipping this. Until next time, drink what you like, skip the lines, and never let marketing play lead guitar. And that's another pour down. If you enjoyed hanging out in the hunt today, don't leave me standing here like an empty bottle on a Sunday morning. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment about what I should track down next. Remember, bourbon may age gracefully, but my YouTube channel only grows if you feed it. I'll see you in the next hunt. Cheers, bourbon hunters.